Hey guys, welcome back to Brian's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail, and today I wanted to talk about training and getting ready for trail and how to eat healthy or healthier on trail and some ideas of what I do. The Pacific Crest Trail this year is suggesting that people send more boxes just due to COVID. They don't want people staying in towns as much, so just going to talk about some ideas for training and resupplying, and I'll touch on what you might expect doing a thru hike during the COVID pandemic based on my experience last year. I'll also talk about my bear canister and some other tips and things that I've kind of picked up along the way that might be helpful to you as well. So of course I have to say this disclaimer, I'm not a trainer. I'm not telling you guys to go out and do this. This is just stuff that I do personally to help train for the trail and things that have worked for me in the past. I really recommend that if you are planning on doing any type of exercise program or, training program, just see your doctor for a physical. It's usually covered by almost every insurance and usually can do one a year. So anyway, the main things that I found that helped me, obviously hiking is one, and if you live near the trail that you are going to be hiking on, hiking with a full pack or even more weight than you plan on carrying is a great way to obviously get in shape and train your body. Now, for someone like me who lives in a very urban area, I have to come up with obviously different ways. Now, obviously I do walk and go hiking with my pack on, but the Appalachian Trail, which is the closest trail to me, is over an hour away, so it's just not time efficient. So one of the main things I do for cardio is the step mill, and that is the machine that looks like the rotating stairs. And it's great because you can select all different types of programs that simulate different uphills and downhills and intervals, and it's just a great machine in my opinion. It even has like virtual realities here on the button where you see outdoors. You can click that and it'll show a picture of it, simulating you hiking up a mountain or a scree. Or I've just found it to be a great machine to train for on trail, and that's just what works for me. I also like spin classes. Really anything that works for you is going to be great. And when I first started training like that, the first few weeks I trained without my pack on, and then I started using a weighted vest, and then I went to wearing my pack. But normally when I do this, I put more weight than I plan on carrying, just because for me that it makes me feel like when I do get on trail, it feels easier, and that's kind of like the whole idea behind training, so at least for me. And the other thing that I focus on is core strength, because your core is your center of gravity. You're going to be having a pack on, and so that's going to be throwing things out of whack. And I found that for me, having strong abs and a strong lower back really helps get you through those longer days. And doing things that are simulating up and down hills, cardio, and of course there's a whole bunch of other things I do. I do weight training. I think as long as you're doing something physical in preparation, and with weight on your back, your pack, something, if you have a weighted vest, that works too. Especially I like the weighted vest because for me the weighted vest is very uncomfortable. So I guess I should say I don't like the weighted vest, but I like training with it because then when I go to put my pack on, the pack just feels so much lighter, so much easier, so much more comfortable, and just a joy to carry basically. Of course, the other big thing is stretching, and this is one thing that you just kind of have to get into the habit of, and I kind of do it just like set aside 20 minutes every night just to do it, and once you get in the habit of it, it's easy. In any event, that's a little bit about what I do for training. And then for food, this year I'm going to be cooking more, and PCT, since they recommend doing more resupply boxes, as well as they also recommended trying to do more 0 days on trail instead of in town. So that's all things I've taken into consideration. I'm going to be sending more boxes. The first year I did cook, and the meals were so expensive, and a lot of them, I'd have all this left over, and some of them, they were just disgusting. But I found these Nomad nutrition meals that are awesome because they have between 250 and 400 calories, and I can mix them in with some other things like an olive oil packet and one of these Trailtopia meat packets, because that's another thing too for me. I like being able to get a lot of protein on trail, and obviously along with carbs too. A lot of times when you get into trail towns, you're not going to have a lot of options. It might just be a gas station or something, and hey, that's just the breaks sometimes. But generally I look for foods that are very lightweight. Like these two things together only weigh 3 ounces, so things that are lightweight, are good tasting, and are packed with calories. And I try and get things that are packed with better calories, things that have healthier fats. And last year this girl gave me a bunch of these little miniature olive oil packets, and so I started carrying those, and they're great because they add calories and just healthy fats. Then I also found these green belly meals. Now I only like the mango coconut cashew ones, but these 2 bars are almost 700 calories, and I carry a lot of these trail butters. They are kind of expensive, so if you wait though, you can find them on sale. Like I got 5 of these big ones for just under $14, and normally they're like $6 a piece or something. The little ones I carry in my hip belt pocket. The big ones have like almost 800 calories. The small ones have 200 calories each. And yeah, you can find them on sale if you wait and look. They're great because you can open them up and then reseal them, and they're just a ton of calories and great tasting, and it's just a great way to get some energy on trail. These small ones, for 6 of them, which is 1,200 calories, it only weighs about 6 ounces, and yeah, they're just great to stick in your hip belt pocket or something like that. And again, a lot of this is just going to be personal preference. Like for tuna, I carry the ones that have the olive oil just because it's the same weight and it's double the calories. A great resource for finding this food and just a lot of great food is Garage Grown Gear. They have a great selection of a lot of the smaller companies that make these foods. Sasquatch Fuel is amazing. They are a little bit expensive, but they are so good, at least in my opinion. And if you wait, you can find a lot of this stuff on sale. And again, that's where sort of sending the boxes comes in handy, because you can buy it ahead of time and then ship it. And just a side note, generally what I do is that when I get these boxes and I'm about to start a stretch, I will repackage a lot of these into Ziploc bags, smaller, just so it makes it smaller, easier to carry. But make sure if you do that, you're going to use freezer Ziploc bags or bags that can withstand boiling water. Carry these green juice by Organifi, and I mix that in with my water. It just has a bunch of superfoods mixed in with it, and it really does give you a charge, especially in the morning. I carry this plant-based protein. Obviously, I put it into a double Ziploc bag, but this protein is just awesome. It's made with like pumpkin seed, no soy, none of that other stuff. Doesn't make you feel bloated, and it's just a great source to help you get extra protein, minerals, vitamins on trail. And this is one of the best ones I found. So yeah, I just keep it in plastic bags, add it to my water, and yeah, it really just helps give me a boost. Not to mention, it's quite simple. You just add it to your water and you're just constantly ingesting calories. So for me, it works great. Obviously, there are some downside to sending boxes, because you have to plan more, and then if you send a box somewhere and then don't end up getting off trail there. So what I usually do is do a bounce box, and most of the post offices are really good about bouncing it ahead. If you can't make it to that stop, you just give them a call and they'll bounce it ahead for you. Air canister I use is probably not going to work for most people. It's called the Bear Boxer, and it's really only designed for like 3 or 4 days of food for one person. But I actually borrowed one of these last year, and I found that I really liked it, and I can really cram a lot in there, especially for me, because I'm going to be making more exits. So like I said, for most people this won't work in this area, but for me, after some ingenuity and thought process, I can really pack this up with a ton of food. Mostly stuff that's like malleable and that I can really jam in there. It's almost kind of like a geometry problem, but I can get roughly 5 days of food in it, and then carrying another day of food for the first day out with me. So almost 6 days with it. And there are a lot of strategies and tips on how to use your bear can properly, but a lot of people think that you have to carry all your food in there while you're hiking. And this might cause you problems, especially if your bear can doesn't fit well in your pack. But if you can fit your bear canister horizontally in your pack, then that's great. And that's what I love about this. But if not, you can carry your food in a plastic bag or op sack inside your pack while you're hiking, but it has to be stored at night in the bear canister. Again, I'm assuming most people are familiar with this kind of thing, but for those that aren't, I just thought I'd mention some of these suggestions to offer tips and ideas for people that are possibly using a bear canister for the first time. You also never want to leave your bear canister near a cliff or anything like that where a bear could knock it off and then you've lost it. And what I do is I put a lot of different stickers, and I use different fluorescent markers to make mine more visible, so that if a bear or any animal messes with it, I can have an easier time finding it. This is the lightest, smallest bear canister that's approved in all the national parks and etc. And it weighs about 1.5 pounds. And again, it does take some creativity to get it packed full of food, but if you can make it work, it's great. But if it is something you think you might do, I would definitely get it ahead of time and practice around packing it up and testing it out. Thankfully, last year I had the opportunity to do this. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be using this. You can really pack a lot in here, but I know a lot of people say, like, seeing this, no way, that's impossible. It's going to require you eating a lot of the same foods and things that you might get bored with, but hey, that's part of trail life sometimes. And the last thing I just wanted to talk about are these Venture wipes. They are just basically like a giant shower wipe, and they come individually packaged, and for especially folks hiking the PCT or the CDT with long stretches in deserts where it's dusty and no water between certain stretches, these are great for just cleaning up at the end of the day. They weigh just under an ounce a piece, but I just found them to be awesome in those areas where you didn't have access to as much water. And also just, to clean yourself up before you get into town, especially now with COVID. It's nice to go into town looking a little cleaner and nicer and not smelling like a foot. And again, especially now with COVID, this is just something that I found that was a nice way, an easy way to get cleaned up before heading into town or at the end of a day when I was in a dusty, dry stretch. Obviously, I can't say for sure how things will be with COVID as we get closer to the summer, but just based on what's going on now and my experience last year, I think people should, have the expectation that the social element is not going to be the same as they might be expecting, and just be prepared to be more on your own. And as long as you're okay with that and understand that, I think you'll be fine out on trail. But I think that people that just absolutely love the social aspect of it, which of course is a really fun part, but it's just, in my experience from last year especially, that going into the towns especially, everyone's in masks and people just aren't as sociable. Now, of course, the hiker community is always very friendly to one another and very helpful, but you have to put yourself in other people's shoes. If especially trying to get a ride and hitching, you should anticipate that it might be a little harder. And that's why I brought up the Venture wipes, because if you at least clean yourself up, make yourself look more presentable, you might get better reception. And it's also a good idea to maybe possibly, when you can, plan ahead for rides. Call trail angels and make sure, or you could even Ubers if those are available. Like I said, it's hard to predict how things will be when you're on trail, depending on when you're going to be there. But I would definitely plan and prepare for things being different than they would be during a normal through hiking year, and just take extra steps, maybe send extra boxes, plan to do some on trail 0 days. Or what I did last year is I found campgrounds outside the area of the trail towns I was staying at, and that's were great. It was great to have that kind of social outdoor interaction where you're still safely distanced apart. And and obviously staying in campgrounds is a lot cheaper than staying in hotels. Again, a lot of this just takes some extra planning and things like that. There's an app called recreation.gov that you can download, and it will show you different campgrounds that are in the area. And for me, I just found this to be an awesome resource, and it really helped me a lot last year. Anyway, thank you guys all so much for watching. Sorry this was a little long. And for those of you that are getting ready to start your thru hikes, wishing you all the best and good luck, and hope you have a great time out there. All right, everybody, thanks again. Take care. Hey everyone, I appreciate you staying with me till the end, and I just wanted to let you know that I have set up a Vimeo and a PayPal account for those of you that wish to make a donation to me to help me with not only just creating better content, but preparing for my upcoming trip. There's obviously a lot more expenses with COVID and just planning, and I had some subscribers get in touch with me and ask me about this, and if I had any way of for them to make a donation or sponsor me. So I just thought to start, I would set up something simple like the PayPal and Vimeo account, and then down the road when we get more subscribers, I'll look into doing something like the Patreon page. But from what I understand, you have to you create different content on there, and then it's restricted to only those that pay, and I'd rather just not do that right now. So, and again, this is just for people that want to, and I'll try and make it fun in any way we can. I'll do shout outs and talk about things that any of the donations are going towards, that kind of thing, or anything you guys want, really. I'm new to all this, so most of you probably know more about it than I do. So anyway, I just really appreciate, as always, all your support and for you watching, and I'll have all that information in the description, and just wishing everybody staying healthy and safe, and looking forward to spring and summer, and I'll see you next time. Take care.